Hi guys. So I wanted to talk to you about this house that we went to go see. Um, my mother-in-law works as a counselor, and um, she works as a counselor, and one of her clients was renting a different property, not the one we went to go see, from this guy. So he's an older gentleman, I would say like 70s, maybe even early 80s. And for one, we went to go see it, and first he brought us to this duplex. So we looked into both sides of the duplex, and everything was basically new in there, but I didn't really like the street that the duplexes were on. Like, I'm not trying to sound really picky, and I know that it really does sound picky, but I don't know. There was just something about the neighborhood and specifically that street that was just really, I don't know, off-putting to me. It was like a street that was all apartments and duplexes. And he had put like mostly new everything in these duplexes, but like the stove and refrigerator in these duplexes were like from the 70s. Like, it was one of those mustardy yellow colored stoves, and I was like, oh my god. So then after we sat there and talked to him for quite a while, he was talking to me about religion and about like forgiveness, and because I guess he was looking to get to know us, and he was like asking if I was a Christian, if I go to church anywhere. And so I told him the church that I go to, and somehow we got into the topic of forgiveness and knowing if someone has a good spirit or not. And so I was just trying to go along with it, because I figure if I'm able to make a connection with this man, then maybe he'd be more apt to rent us one of his properties. After we left the duplex that he's redoing, because like he's renovating both sides of this duplex, and like I said, he was putting in like new flooring, new carpet, pretty much new everything. But I just didn't like the yard. I didn't want to have to share a wall with somebody, because on the one side of the duplex, the bedroom, like the biggest bedroom, is sharing a wall with the living room of the other duplex. And so I've just kind of had it with sharing walls with other people. And if you have to share like half of your yard with someone, what happens if you don't like that person or you don't get along? You know, I don't know how I feel about that. And so then he brought us to this small house. I mean, it's not really super small. Like, the way that he made it sound before we went and looked at it, he made it sound like, one, it was a piece of crap, and two, he made it sound like it was the smallest house ever. And it's really not. It's a one-bedroom house. It has a huge yard, and he mentioned the fact that he'd be willing to rent it to us on like a rent-to-own contract, which I think would be really cool. He didn't give us an exact price because he wants to know exactly how much money I'm gonna be coming in with. And we haven't done like a formal application or anything yet, because my husband actually has to call him later today to figure out when we can sit down and do like a formal application. But we really want to rent this house on the rent-to-own contract. And so the way that it would work if we chose to do like rent-to-own is, he says basically we would be renting at first, and then once we make enough, or once we put enough, like any rent we pay will go towards the down payment. So once we pay whatever amount he decides would be our down payment, then he would pull up a contract. And at that point, like the upkeep of the house and like any repairs, property taxes, all that stuff would be our responsibility. he said that he would have no problem with me doing a garden, whether it's a flower garden or a vegetable garden. I could then paint or decorate however I want to. Like I said, it has a huge yard. It has a gravel driveway, but that's fine. I didn't actually go inside the house. My husband did, but only because the person who was renting the house previously had just been evicted. And so like she left the house a mess. So that house isn't going to be ready for at least 2 to 3 weeks because he has to go through and clean it. And then the lady, when she moved, stole the fridge and the stove. So he's going to replace the fridge and the stove for us. And he has to fix like a few things that she damaged while she was living there. But I would much rather go for the house, just because I feel like it would be a better deal. Because one, we don't have to share space with anybody. We don't have to share a wall. We don't have to share the yard. It's in a nicer, or it's on a nicer street. It's basically in the same neighborhood, but like where the duplexes are, like say this is where the house is, okay? There's this street that runs like this, and there's a street that goes this way. This street right here is where the duplexes are, but the house is like down the road and then this way. So it's like opposite sides of the street, but it's a super nice little neighborhood and it's quiet. There's kids to play with. So like when Jake is over, there's teenagers and stuff that he could maybe become friends with. Obviously he doesn't live with us full time, but he could still become friends with them because he's with us like every other weekend. And during the summer, he'll be with us for 2 weeks and then back to the other house for 2 weeks and then back with us for 2 weeks. So we'll see. But I just wanted to share that with you guys. We went to go see it at like shortly after my husband got off work. So by the time we got out there and found the address, it was like almost 5. We didn't get to my mother-in-law's house until after 7 because this guy was talking that much. So anyways, I just thought that I would share that with you guys. Hopefully we're able to do that house on a rent to own. I'll let you guys know whenever I know anything additional. But anyways, that's it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will talk to you guys again next time.